Today we're reviewing for the second quiz in Chapter 1, which covers lessons 1-5, 1-6, and 1-7, and this is for geometry. So for the first two numbers, for exercises 1 and 2, you have, I think I messed up this sentence. For exercises 1 and 2, you have lines X and Y intersecting to form adjacent angles 1 and 2. What I would suggest is maybe drawing that. Two lines intersecting. So let's say you have X and Y intersecting and they form adjacent angles 1 and 2. So they have to be next to each other. Something like that. Now it tells us if angle 1 is 9x minus 8 and angle 2 is 6x plus 4, excuse me, find the value of x so that x is perpendicular to y. So meaning if it's perpendicular to y, that means all of these angles here that we drew are going to be right angles. So that means angles 1 and 2 are actually equal to each other. So we would put 9x minus 8 equals 6x plus 4, and that's how we would find x. So we're solving for x by combining like terms, and then we continue to combine like terms. So we get 3x equals 12. Then we have to get x by itself, which gives us x equals 4. The next one, same idea with the lines intersecting. This time, though, angle 1 is 2x minus 3, angle 2 is 5x plus 8, and we're supposed to find the value of x so that angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2, meaning they add up to be 180. So we're going to need to do that same thing. Okay, and I'm actually going to continue this on the next slide so we have enough room. So 2x minus 3 equals, I'm sorry, not equals, 5x plus 8 plus 5x plus 8 equals 180. Now we can solve for x. So we get 7x plus 5, subtract 5, 7x equals 175, and then we divide that by 7, and we get x equals 25. And that would be our answer for that problem. Now, the next type of problem you'll see is something like this, where they give you x equals 6. You need to find the perimeter of the rectangle, whose length is 4x minus 2 and whose width is 2x plus 1. So I would draw it out. 4x plus 2, and the width is 2x plus 1. Oh, it's 4x minus 2. Okay, so you have that labeled, and then x is 6. Since it's a rectangle, that means opposite sides are going to be equal, so I'm going to just label all the sides so I don't forget. And then I plug in x is 6 for each side to get a value. So we only have to do it once for each expression. So if we plug in 6 here, we get 24 minus 2, or 22. So that's going to be one of our sides. And then the other side, if we plug in 6 for 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1, we're going to get 13 for those two sides. And when we're doing perimeter of any figure, that means adding up all the sides. So we're going to add up 22 plus 22 plus 13 plus 13. Or 22 times 2 plus 13 times 2. 44 plus 26 gives me 70. So I don't know if they labeled this as units, which it doesn't look like they did, so you could just put 70 units or just 70 if they don't label it with a unit. The next one, it says the perimeter of a convex hexagon is 20 feet. What is the effect on its perimeter if each side is doubled? So think about doubling each side. If they're all the same value for the hexagon, and then we double each of those values, then all we're really doing in the end is doubling the perimeter. So what is the effect on the perimeter? It's doubled. And you'll have a question like that almost exactly on your quiz. This one, find the measures of two complementary angles if the difference in the measures of the two angles is 16. So we need to think about two angles that add up to be 90, but that subtract to be 16. So there's only two possibilities here. I would suggest maybe trying to get numbers that add up to be 90 and then kind of do a guess and check here. So let's see. So after a lot of guessing and checking, I finally got the answer, which becomes 53 as one angle and 37 as the other. So to check myself, I would add them up to be 90, and then I would subtract 53 minus 37, and that would give me 16. So the two answers that I have for my measures of the angles are 53 and 37. But that is a problem that's going to just take a lot of guessing and checking. Just making sure that you have what it's asking for. The two angles adding up to 90, and then also subtracting from each other to get 16. The next one is related to a formula, and these should be in your key concepts packet, but you need to learn how to use the formula. So this says the volume of a pyramid is 30 and its height is 8. Find the area of the base of the pyramid. Well, the volume formula is 1/3 B times H, and the B is actually a capital B because it represents the area of the base. So, in order to find the area of the base of the pyramid, we need to think about, well, we need to plug in what we have in our formula, and basically we're solving for the big B, or the capital B. So, we have V, which is our volume, given to us, which is 30. We have 1/3 already there. We don't know B, which is the area of the base that it's asking us to find, and our height is 8. So now we're going to solve for B. If we multiply 8 times 1/3, that gives us 8/3. B equals 30, and to solve for B here, we would need to multiply by the reciprocal. So that gives us 30 times 3, which is 90. Well, 90 over 8. And that's about 11.25. So sometimes it's not a decimal, but sometimes it's okay to be a decimal. So this is actually our area of the base, which is the big B in the volume equation. So that would be our answer, 11.25, and we're labeling it centimeters. Since it's area, we're going to do centimeters squared. So 11.25 centimeters squared. The next one is just talking about the type of face that this particular shape has. So I would know what the Platonic solids are. You have a tetrahedron, you have dodecahedron, icosahedron, hexahedron. Okay, so you have 5 different Platonic solids. I would know the faces of each one because one of the questions on your quiz is going to ask you what the face of a particular solid is. So this solid is a tetrahedron. So what we need to know about that is that tetrahedrons have three identical faces, but the face of them is the shape of a triangle. So we're going to put a triangle as the face of this particular shape. On the quiz, it's going to ask you a different type of shape, but I'm telling you that it's going to be one of the Platonic solids, so make sure you know the faces on the Platonic solids. The next one, it gives us, here we have, we're trying to find the surface area of a cone, and it gives us certain parts of the formula, so we're going to fill that in to our formula in order to find the surface area of the cone. So the formula is pi r L plus pi r squared. And if we recognize the pi r squared, that's actually the area of a circle formula. So if you think about the cone, the area of the base of a cone is the circle part of the cone. So it's giving us the area of the base. But notice also it keeps it in terms of pi because we need to know what r is in order to solve this formula. So if you think about that, if the area of the base is 25 pi, and the formula is pi r squared, that means the 25, if we took the square root of it, it would give us 5, and that gives us what r should be. So this becomes 25 pi. It also told us then that r would be 5, so we're going to put r as 5 here, and then it gives us L is the length, or actually it's the slant length or the slant height, which is 6, so we're going to put 6 in for L. And then if we solve, we get 30 pi plus 25 pi, which equals 55 pi, and we can either leave it in terms of pi or we can actually multiply 55 times 3.14, which is going to give us a decimal of about 172 or 173 if you want to round. So either way, I would accept 173 or 55 pi, and then we're going to label that. Let's see, it says inches, so this is the inches squared because our answer is an area. The next one, this one you're just thinking of what are two possible solids that are not polyhedrons. I believe there's 3 possibilities, but in this case we only need to list 2. One would be a sphere. Remember, polyhedrons are 3-dimensional figures. Another would be a cone, and another would be a cylinder. And these are not polyhedrons because they all have curved sides. So you would only need to list 2 of them, but a sphere, a cone, and a cylinder are all not polyhedrons. And the last one is finding the volume of the cylinder. And the formula for the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So it gives us the r, which is the radius of 4, so we're going to plug that in. And then we're given the height, which is 10, so we plug that in. So if we multiply, we get 4 squared, which is 16, times 10, 160. And again, you could either leave it in terms of pi, or you can figure out 160 times pi, which gives us about 502. And we label this for volume. It's going to give us centimeters cubed. So those would be the possible answers there. So that means that you're going to need to know the volume formula for a cylinder and the surface area of a cone, and you're going to need to know about the Platonic solids, what they are, and also what are not solids. So those are the types of problems that you're going to have. You're going to need to know about complementary angles, volume of a pyramid, how to find perimeter of any figure, how to find angles that are supplementary, what perpendicular lines mean, what adjacent angles mean. I believe that covers everything. I just went back through the slides here, as you can see. So, if you study all of these examples, then you'll be pretty clear on what you'll see on the quiz. Happy studying!